What is going on, you guys? So right behind me, I have the brand new 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime. This is the very first plug-in RAV4. There has always been a hybrid RAV4, but never a plug-in hybrid. And the biggest difference is power. This is making 302 total horsepower and a lot more detail. So this is going to be a full in-depth review. I'm going to go over every detail about the exterior, the interior, obviously take it for a drive, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and check out the 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime. Now, this car is very cool, but with that cool factor comes a really large price hike. So this is not only the most powerful and arguably one of the most technologically advanced RAV4s ever, this is also probably the most expensive RAV4 that I can think of. This starts at $38,000 just for the plug-in hybrid, and this one here is the XSE, and that's going to start at $41,000. However, it keeps going up. My package that I have for this tester is going to be around $45,000, but this is still not fully loaded. This is missing one package, which will bring it up to around $47,000, and that's nearing 50 grand. That is a ton of money for a Toyota RAV4. Now, once again, this is the most powerful RAV4 with 302 horsepower. This is arguably the most technologically advanced RAV4 that has ever been created. So there are a lot of firsts here, and it may or may not justify the price for you guys, but also keep in mind, this has the full $7,500 federal tax credit. And if you live in California like I do, you also can get a $1,000 tax credit depending on your situation. And then also this car is able to get the sticker that you can use to drive in the HOV lane by yourself. So there are a lot of factors to consider with this vehicle. But let's go ahead and start with this color. This is Sky Silver Metallic. And with the XSE package, you're going to get the two-toned roof. So you guys can see it's got the black roof right here, and the silver looks really good. It's got a good amount of flake to it. I do like the silver with all of the black accents with the machined wheels. There are some specific touches here that are going to make this a little bit different from every other RAV4. So for example, when I come down here, you're going to have this bottom lip spoiler that is going to be specific to this plug-in hybrid model. And to differentiate on the road, you have this daytime running LED that's also going to complement the normal daytime running LED you have here in the headlight. So whenever you see this thing driving down the road, you can spot that this is the new RAV4 Prime, at least from the front, by seeing that additional LED there at the bottom. Now, all the lights on here are going to be LED, so at night it does have just that more premium, expensive look. Now, as we come around to the side, you are going to have this black area here. It is going to be like a gloss black, so if I can get you guys a better look here, it actually has a little bit of flake to it. And then as you come to the wheels, you have these machined wheels, which are going to be the biggest wheels that a Toyota hybrid or a RAV4 hybrid has ever gotten. These are going to be 19-inch wheels, and they're wrapped in these Yokohama Avid GT tires, which are, pretty good. I'm not sure it's the best tire, but maybe it does have a good mix between like range and then you're just all-weather traction. Moving up, you have your plug-in hybrid emblem right there. More of that like gloss black going down here, then it's going to say all-wheel drive there at the back. All right, so as we back up and look at the side profile of this thing, one of my favorite features is going to be this thick line right here, and it's going to slowly dissipate as it goes over the rear shoulder. But the car, once again, looks good with these wheels. I think this is a good choice in terms of wheel design. Really does make the car look a lot sportier. Then as you come to the rear quarter panel, definitely a lot more angular back here. You have LED lights here in the back as well, but your turn signals are not going to be LEDs on this car. Now, one other thing to talk about, usually I'm on the other side, but I'm on this side because this is where your charging port is going to be. It's a little dark in here, so hopefully I can give you guys a better look. There you go. So there's your plug. It is going to illuminate at night. That way you can see where you're plugging it in. And you can basically charge this 2 or 3 ways. So you can plug it in at home, you can visit a charging station, or you can put this into a charge mode, which I will show you guys once we get into the interior. Now as we come around to the back, finishing off back here, you have your RAV4 Prime badge there, XSE badge there. You're going to have dual exhaust here in the back, but because this is a Toyota hybrid, they do not let you rev the cars at a standstill, so I can't even let you guys hear what it sounds like. But let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the car. Alright guys, so here's your key for the RAV4 Prime. This is actually a really nice key design. This is the same key design you get on like the Toyota Land Cruiser. So it's the same key fob. It looks really nice. It's gonna say RAV4 there on the back. And then on the front, you're gonna have your lock, your unlock, your trunk release. This is going to be to turn on the AC on a hot day. And then you have your panic, as well as that blue hue going around your Toyota emblem, or on the inside of your Toyota emblem. You also have a latch right here to get out a physical key, so that way if your key fob dies or if the battery on your car dies, you can still get your belongings out, get inside of your vehicle. Now, I can obviously use this to lock and unlock the car. And then once you come to the door, you have a ribbed pattern here up top. You're gonna put your finger there. That's going to lock it. You're gonna hear 1 beep, and then there's a touchpad behind here. You'll hear 2 beeps, and that means it's unlocked. All right, guys, checking out the inside of the RAV4 Prime. Now, this is going to have just a black interior with red accents. And then starting over at the door, the materials are pretty good. So coming up here at the top, you're going to have like a soft leatherette here with the red stitching. You guys can see that right there. This is going to be like a soft leatherette. It's got a nice amount of give to it, even the armrest here. But so you have a little bit of give. You have actually more give here than you do here, where I'm going to rest my arm. So that is a little frustrating, because this is actually slightly hard because you barely have any, I guess, padding right there. So that's very interesting. Obviously, all of your window controls, you have this rubber grip located back here. This is going to be hard plastic going all the way down. Got an area to hold a bottle, extra storage space down there. It's going to say RAV4 around your speaker with this interesting like dotted triangular pattern, and then just more of that soft leatherette coming over here. RAV4 branded floor mats, your pedals, all of your seating controls, very simplistic. So you have your forward, back, lift up, lift down, backrest, and then your lumbar support right there. This is a leatherette because Toyota does not use real leather, and it's got a nice feel to it. You've got your red stitching located there. As you come here in the middle, you're going to have some red stitching located right there. Red stitching on the side. And that's basically going to run all up the seat, which is a pretty nice seat design. It's got a good amount of like shoulder support there, bolster support, or side support. Now moving over here off to the side, you do have a few buttons here. You have your interior illumination to the far left, automatic brights, windshield heater, heated steering wheel. That's to open up the trunk. And you do have a manual steering wheel that is going to go up and down and telescope. And you have a little pocket right here that I can probably put like a wallet or my key or something like that. And it is going to illuminate at night, so you guys can even see the little light right in there. But let's go ahead and hop in and we'll check out the rest. All right, shutting the door. Pretty solid shut. And here's a wider look at the interior of this RAV4 Prime for you guys. And then to start the car, it is very simple. All you have to do is put your foot on the brake. There's your blue power button because this is a hybrid, and you're just gonna hit that to start. Okay, so sitting in the RAV4 now, first of all, I'm 6 feet tall. I've got a good amount of headroom here. My head's not touching. The seat is at its lowest position though, and I've got big hair. So let's see, above me, there's probably like another inch and a half. So if you're above 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", you may be close to hitting your head up here, but you can also, lean the seat back, give you a little bit more room. But it just depends on, how comfortable you are with doing that kind of stuff. Now, moving to the steering wheel. Nice steering wheel design, pretty simplistic. The leather quality is pretty good. You got some red stitching located here in the middle. Over here to the left, you have all of your media commands. So I've got my volume, voice commands, phone button. I can use this to control this screen here in the middle. Then over here to the right, I'm gonna have all of my adaptive cruise settings, because this does have adaptive cruise control. So I can turn it on, pick how my distance basically, and then you do have your lane keep right here, and then your different modes, AM, FM, XM. And then I'm also gonna have paddles located here on the back. Now they're really not going to do much because this is basically a CVT. So I really don't recommend using them. I don't know why you would use them, because the electricity gives you enough torque, but we'll talk about that more in the drive portion. Now behind here you have automatic wipers, rear wiper located there. Over here to the left you have automatic lights. And then as you move up to the dash, you're gonna have a soft touch dash right here, JBL speaker right here. So you're gonna have a tweeter here, speaker right back there. As we move back here, it's all still that soft touch, and you have more speakers located over there. Now, moving to this head unit, you have a pretty good sized head unit. Everything works pretty well. This has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You also have Amazon Alexa available on here, which is pretty cool. And the only thing I don't like is going to be these little rubber grips here. I don't know if you guys can see these. So there's these little rubber grips there. And I just don't think it'll wear well over time, because it gets dust stuck to it occasionally. And if you have kids, or if you're doing anything to where like they may have sticky hands, I can see that just becoming like a dirt magnet. So I don't feel like that will age well over time. And as you move down, you're going to have this pretty nice quality, like really soft leatherette dash here with red stitching, hazards there. You do have dual zone climate control with these nice big knobs here, but once again, it's got that same like rubber on it, and it's already starting to look a little bit faded. So I feel like after a few years, it's really not gonna look very good. But you do have an eco mode here for your heating and your cooling. So because this can run off of full electricity, that is an option that you can push. That way you're not using as much of the battery to run your AC and things like that. It just basically evens out how much of the power that it's using. And then right below here, you're going to have heated seats for both driver and passenger. You don't have cooled seats. And then you also have two settings there. Traction right behind here. You have a wireless charging area, but the issue I've had here is that it's not very consistent. So I'll put my phone there and then I'll see it charge and then not charge and then charge and not charge, and it kind of does that occasionally, which is kind of frustrating. I also have a USB back here, a 12 volt, and then moving back, I am going to have electronic parking brake, your brake hold, and these two buttons are pretty interesting. So you have EV and HV right above that. So let's talk about those two real quick. EV is full electric vehicle mode. HV is hybrid vehicle mode. So in EV, it's obviously just running off the battery. In hybrid mode, it's using the battery and the gas engine. And then if I hold that button, so if I push it and hold it, it'll use the gas engine to charge the battery, which is very cool, especially if you're like me and you live in an apartment and you don't have access to a charging cable at home. I can charge this just driving around. It will use more gas, but it's a nice way to charge your vehicle a little bit without always having to visit a charging station, without having to plug it in at your home, especially if you don't have that option. So that's pretty cool. And then you have an automatic mode, which it'll switch between EV and hybrid vehicle mode, depending on what the computer deems necessary. Then coming here, you've got this nice stubby, like heavy duty shifter here. You can shift into a sport mode, and then you can push forwards and backwards to upshift and downshift, and then you go into reverse. You have your backup camera, which comes up, which is super low res. It's not very good at all, and it's pointed too down in my opinion. So if you look here, I can see most of the license plate. You can even see it's Texas right there. Like, it's 50% the back end of the car, which I don't think is a very good angle at all. It's just my personal opinion though. And then right here you have your different modes. So I can switch to eco, sport, and then push for normal. And then at night it's really cool because you can see the green, the blue, and then the red depending on what mode you're in. And then right down here you have your trail mode, which is exactly what it sounds like, to go on trails anywhere it's a little bit rockier, and it'll adjust and recalibrate everything to be optimized for that sort of setting. And then moving back, if you have your cup holders, you're gonna have your armrest, which is pretty softly padded. I can easily rest both arms on there. And then as you look in here, you have two USBs, and you have a decent amount of storage space located in there. Now moving here, you are going to have a nice little area here that I can put like a phone, and it's got a nice lip here, so it's not going to easily fly out if you accelerate, because this thing has some pretty good acceleration, having 302 horsepower. Obviously your glove box, which is actually pretty on the small side. Moving up, you are going to have your mirror, which is going to have your home link located underneath here. Above that, you have your sunglass holder, your lights, which are surprisingly not LED, but I'm sure they're bright enough at night. And then you have this to open your moonroof, which is a pretty good size. I wish it was a pano, but it is nice to have this to let in a little bit more light. And then obviously your vanity mirror with a light up here. And then you have your little extension located there. So that's gonna wrap up the front. Let's go ahead and check out the back of the car. All right, guys, so hopping in the back seat of the RAV4 Prime. Now this is where I was sat, being 6 feet tall. I've got a really good amount of room. That's about maybe 3.5, 4 inches or so, right behind the seat. You obviously have your Mac pockets here. My feet room is gonna be great, so I can slide my feet underneath because the seats do sit up a little bit higher. And then my headroom is really good. I mean, I have about another 3.5, 4 inches almost of headroom above my big hair. That's a massive accomplishment. So lots of good room here. I do like that. You have 2 vents located down here, 2 USBs located down there as well. This middle hump is not very big at all, so you can still fit a third person here, no issue. Folding down this armrest, you've got these nice deep cup holders, so your drinks will be nicely secured in there. The armrest is very soft, so if I rest my elbow here, it is just a nice soft area that is definitely very usable. You have a light up here. You're going to have a grab handle here, as well as a little hook for like dry cleaning and things like that. The only negative with this door, aside from the cheaper materials, which this whole door is basically the same setup as the front, soft up here, hard touch down here, so nothing different there. But the door doesn't open very wide, so that's the widest it goes, which means if you have a car seat, or if you are doing anything that requires you to get into the back, you don't have a lot of room to work with. So that's one thing I did notice. A lot of other vehicles open up a lot wider, and I really wish this had that feature just to make it a little bit more accessible back here. You also have heated rear seats out here, so the outboard passengers do get heated seats, and that is going to be a button located on the armrest right here. And then the storage space is pretty small. I have an area to fit a bottle, and that's pretty much about it. But that's going to wrap up the back seat. Let's go ahead and check out trunk space. All right, so coming to the back of the RAV4 Prime. Now there's a few ways to get in. I can use my key, or there's a button located underneath the Toyota emblem right here. So I'm gonna hit that. It's gonna open up, but it's actually pretty slow. So as you can see, it takes a little bit. And then at its highest setting right here, I still have about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, being 6 feet tall. So it does open up pretty high if you are a little bit taller. You don't have to duck a lot to get in. Now, back here you guys can see this is the charging plug that is going to come with your RAV4 Prime. So it's a nice blue color, and then you've got this huge like power pack right here. Then obviously this is going to be just like a 120 volt plug, so basically a standard house plug, which you can just plug it in and it is going to just trickle charge. This is the fastest option you can use. You don't have anything that you can use that's faster than this basically. So because it isn't like a fast charging plug-in, this is going to be the extent, and it is going to take a few hours, about 2 if you plug it in at home, and then if you visit a level 2 charger, it's basically the same thing. Now coming here underneath the floor, if I lift this up, I am going to have a spare located right back here, and you have your jack assembly equipment over here off to the side. That way you can get your tire off and change it. You also have a JBL speaker located back here, basically like a small sub, and you're going to have a cargo cover which you can remove, and you can also fold the seats down to get more room, and that's going to give you just a lot of space to put things in here. And you guys can see the total cubic feet of this back area right here, but that's pretty much going to be the extent of it. You do have a little cubby over here off to the side, but it's not blocked off in any way, and it's like a hard plastic, so whatever you put there, I feel like it'll just slide out into this area here. But other than that, it's pretty much going to be it, guys. So let's go ahead and close this up and see what's under the hood. All right, you guys, so coming under the hood of the RAV4 Prime, there's a lot of complex stuff going on here, and I'm not even going to pretend that I have memorized everything going on here. So I have my phone as a cheat sheet because there are a lot of really good notes that I don't want you guys to miss and I don't want to forget. So let's go ahead and start with the battery pack. So this is a pretty large battery pack. It's 18.1 kilowatt hours, which is almost as big as the one in the Chevrolet Volt from a few years ago. So this is going to give you a range of about 42 miles just on the battery pack alone, which is very, very good. And on top of that, it's going to be combined with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder Atkinson cycle gas engine. And so between those two, you get a combined total system horsepower output of 302 horsepower. That's a lot of power for a Toyota RAV4. And then most of that is going to be instantaneous because of the electric propulsion. So that is very nice. And then in terms of MPG, you get a MPG-E of 94, which once again is very, very good. So that means you can get the 600 miles of total range out of this car, and that's a pretty good thing, especially if you live in California like I do and gas prices are ridiculous out here. But on top of that, you have two electric motors, one in the front, one in the back, plus your gas engine, and then your battery pack is going to sit underneath the seats right there. So the two electric motors here, front motor is going to be 134 kilowatts, rear motor is going to be 40 kilowatts, and one cool thing is that if you guys are new to hybrid ownership and you've never owned a vehicle that runs off of electric propulsion, you're a little bit nervous, this is going to give you a 10-year, 150-mile warranty on the battery. And here's the biggest and most important part, that is transferable. So if you buy this and let's say 5 years later you're at, let's say 50, 60,000 miles and you've already hit 5 years, you sell it, someone else buys this used, that means they still get to keep that warranty. That is huge. So that is very, very cool. And this is hooked up to basically a CVT, and it is going to power all four wheels. So I'm very excited to drive this. Let's go ahead and get it on the road and see how it does. All right, you guys, so driving the RAV4 Prime. Now right now I'm in EV mode, and if you guys have headphones, I highly suggest you put on headphones. I'm using binaural audio, that way you guys can get the most realistic experience. And as you can hear, it's very silent. So while in EV mode, the biggest difference between a normal hybrid RAV4 and this plug-in hybrid is I can floor it and it won't switch on the gas engine. So I can use full electric power right there, which is pretty cool, and I can do that up to whatever speed I want to, basically, and only under very specific circumstances will the engine kick on. So when I come to a stop, listen to this. Don't know if you guys were able to catch that, but there's like this whirring noise as you come to a stop. It does the same thing in the normal hybrid, but I feel like it's a little bit more noticeable in the plug-in. Now, in terms of driving experience, so Toyota actually gave me a sheet that said that this car was preferred in terms of acceleration response and braking over a Porsche Macan. I kid you not. I find that hilarious. Now, there are reasons why I do believe it, but I think it's kind of a, I guess, cheap shot to say that. You have instant acceleration response because this is part electric. With a Macan, at least a base Macan, it's not electric, so you have to wait for, you know, things to happen, the air to get sucked in, the fuel to ignite, and you don't have to do that in this. So the acceleration does feel more responsive. So I do give them that, but it's only because it is partially electric. It's just a given when you have a car like that, or like this. But acceleration response, with that being said, is still very good. That's not to take away from the fact that this has incredible acceleration response, and if you've never driven a full EV, this is a really good taste on what that's like. So from a stop, and that's 40 basically. It's not, you know, as fast as something like a Tesla, for example, but I mean, this will definitely put you back in your seat. And once again, if you've never driven a full EV, this is a very good taste, and it gives you a lot more push than it does in the normal hybrid RAV4. A lot more. I mean, you have 302 horsepower. They don't give an exact torque figure, but I can assume that that torque figure is way up as well because you just have more of that electric power. Now, when you throw it into hybrid mode, it's actually a faster feeling experience in that mode. So, for example, we're in hybrid mode. I'm going to switch it to sport. and then I'm just gonna get on it now. I mean, this thing will move, guys. This is not a slow car. This will definitely push you back in your seat. Oh, and you can feel the front end lift up every time you accelerate. It's pretty hilarious. And this thing has got a ton of power. It feels great. Never would I have thought a RAV4 can feel this good in terms of just that put you back in your seat sort of feel. Now, in terms of everything around the cabin, it's the same as every other RAV4. If you've never seen a RAV4 review, everything is pretty much at reach. The screen is a little bit far away in terms of if you're reaching on the right side of the screen. I'm 6 feet tall, I've got long arms, and I can't even reach these buttons just sitting normally. I do have to lean forward a little bit. And if you don't want to have to do that, then that could be a tiny issue, but everything else is right at hand. I mentioned this already, but I'm going to mention it again. I do not like this phone charging tray. It doesn't have a good grip on it, so your phone slides around and it doesn't charge well. Now, you can get a case that has a grippier texture to it, and that'll fix that problem, but if you have your phone uncased like mine, you will have that issue. Now, we're in hybrid mode. Let's see how she does. Here we go. I even had traction control come on just now. Man, it really does push you back. That's such a good feel. So once again, if you're wearing headphones, I'm going to turn off the AC, hopefully give you guys a better sound of what this electric motor sounds like. Okay, so AC's off. It's a good time. It's a fun car to drive for sure. You know, steering and everything, it's pretty okay. It's good. It's not the best. Obviously, it's not anything like a CX-5, for example, but the steering is good, and the whole car does feel a little bit more planted. I think because you have a little bit extra weight from the batteries and things like that. But overall, it's a good driving car. Visibility and everything like that is good. And let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up my review of the RAV4 Prime. I quite like this car. It's one of the best driving RAV4s I think I've driven. And like I said, because you have more of that electric propulsion mixed in with the gas, it really smooths out that acceleration feel, and it really makes it feel just like you have a higher quality driving vehicle. It's absolutely effortless, and it's nice to have something that has a lot of that torque. And I think that's one of the things people are going to love about this car. If you've never driven a hybrid, this, I suggest, should be one of your first ones. The torque delivery is awesome. It's nowhere near what you'd get on a full electric car, but this is the perfect transition for someone that wants an SUV, something that's still practical. You don't have to make any sacrifices, and it's just gonna give you a really nice driving experience. And I think with owning a hybrid, owning an EV, there are a lot of questions that come to mind, especially if you've never done it before. But I think with this one, especially with the warranty, having a plug-in vehicle is gonna be an awesome first experience. I think Toyota did a great job, but let me know what you guys think. Would you get this RAV4 Prime? Does this absolutely crush the competition for you? Comment below, and if you guys are new to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. Hit the subscribe box, hit the notification bell, that way you guys never miss an upload, and I'll see you in the next review.